Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
For centuries, ancient cultures knew the secrets to longevity, vitality, and healing. Now, modern science is catching up. Ageless Blueprint is a podcast that will reveal the modern secrets of better health and a better life. Join Dr. Ava Taylor here today and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. As together we discover the secrets to better health through science and spirituality. A better life with Ageless Blueprint starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Ava Taylor.
Hello. This is another great Wednesday morning, and this is the time for our Ageless Blueprint podcast. I am so happy that you have joined me, and I want to thank anybody who has viewed my podcast and have shared it with their friends and family. I appreciate it. I hear, responses that people are watching. Sometimes you do these, you don't know exactly who's watching. You don't, if you don't comment, and I really encourage you to comment, and I will personally respond. All right. But I am Dr. Taylor. I am the hormone doctor, and I am also the spiritual MD. And the reason why I called myself those because, hey, we wrote two books. We wrote a book called Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? And so that gave me the moniker of the hormone doctor, because in that we talk about new ways of testing for hormones, really not new ways. It's been around since 1960. We talk about saliva testing to really find out what your hormones are doing. And then about 3 years later, we wrote a book called The Stress Connection, because we began to understand that stress really disrupts everything. It disrupts every organ system in your body. And initially, we found out that it disrupted hormones. So even though we measured the hormones correctly, we balanced them correctly, when we weren't including cortisol in our evaluation, we were in somewhat of a hit or miss. It would work, 75, 80% of the time, but then 20% of the time it wouldn't. And then we began to understand stress. And this was over 20 years ago. And now stress is a popular subject. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people understand that stress is really our number one enemy. That stress response, that fight or flight, that causes a lot of problems when we don't balance it with something called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest. So 20 years ago, we wrote The Stress Connection, and I really didn't understand a lot about stress disconnection. So last week, we talked about the first part of the stress connection, how we measure it, and I'm going to review that. But then we really want to focus on stress disconnection, some of the things that I have actually learned recently, because now I'm interested in stress disconnection. So let's go to the slides. We'll do a little review, and then we'll go from there, okay? All right. So the stress connection 20 years later, all right? I told you 20 years ago we wrote this book, and here's the great thing about books when you base it on physiology, on things that don't change, things that have stood the test of time. And that is hormones and stress, and just describing the basic physiology, how the body works. And that's what our books are based on. And that's why 20 years later, this book is still relevant. 20 years later, our other book, Are Your Hormones Making You Sick?, is still relevant. How do I know it's relevant? Because I just recently started on TikTok, maybe 3-4 months ago at the most. And you wouldn't believe the response that I get when I start talking about how hormones work. And most men and women don't really understand it. And, I understand that, hey, you don't have to know how a car works in order for you to drive the car. But I'm going to tell you really kind of need to know how your hormones work if you want to have a smooth ride in your life. Because when your hormones get out of balance, your life gets very rough and rocky, just like a car that's out of tune. So the hormonal system and the nervous system is really the backbone of how you're going to feel throughout your life. If you can get your hormones right and you can get your nervous system to balance between rest and digest and fight or flight, you'll be surprised how much smoother your life can be. And I'll tell you, I know that from personal experience, because before I understood this and my wife started having hormone issues, it was a rough and rocky road in our life. All right. But thankfully, 30 years ago, a patient came in and asked me a few questions about, did I know about bioidentical hormones? Did I know about progesterone? And because they asked that question, it really changed the course of my life. So anyway, here's the stress connection. Okay, how we knew it was real and why we see it more clearly now. So again, this information is ageless. All right. I don't even have to really update the books because it's based on basic physiology. And that's why we call this the ageless blueprint, because a lot of things that would be a good blueprint for our life is ageless. People were writing about this 6, 7, 8,000 years ago. Back in Egypt and India, they were creating all of these blueprints to help us navigate this life. And we just need to follow some of these ancient blueprints. And anything that tests that survives 10, 5, 10,000 years, those are things that you can count on. All right. So anyway, let's keep going. So 20 years ago, we wrote this book. Now, at first, we began with just realizing that there was a problem. And then we began to have more clinical observations. We began to see that some of the statistics that we had seen about stress, they really were playing out in our clinical practice. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But we just had to realize that something was disrupting our balancing of women's hormones. And we discovered it was stress. All right. So at first we started out with the stress connection. And now we're in this evolution of Ageless Blueprint. How do we manage this stress? How do we measure it? Because you cannot manage what you cannot measure. So we want to be able to measure stress, and we want to be able to measure our stress disconnect. How stressed were we? And now how disconnected are we from that stress, and how are we connected to more of a higher self? All right. So while we wrote the book, so I'm an OBGYN. I'm originally trained as an OBGYN. And that's when I started looking at bioidentical hormones, because a patient came and asked me. And then it just so happens that my wife, Dr. Ava Bell-Taylor, she's a psychiatrist. And so we both were seeing women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And what my wife realized after we discovered this is she said, hey, most of my psychiatric patients that I'm diagnosing as bipolar, they're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And what is bipolar? Bipolar just means you have this wild fluctuation of moods. All right. And that's what happens in menopause. When your hormones are out of balance, it throws your brain out of balance. So you get these wide fluctuations in mood. And then also when your cortisol is either high or low, you can have a lot of anxiety and depression. And along with not having enough progesterone, you can have anxiety and depression. So she was seeing people in the psychiatric realm that were having these issues, and she was looking at it in a psychiatric point of view. I was looking at it in a hormonal point of view. And then we both realized, hey, this hormone and stress, it's creating that's what's creating our patient base. So we kind of put those two together and start talking about the stress connection. So that's how we kind of co-authored these books. It's coming from two separate perspectives, but we both were seeing the same thing. And here's the interesting thing. Stress can cause your hormones to be out of balance, and your hormones being out of balance can be a stress. So they're really entangled. It's one of the which came first, the chicken or the egg type scenarios. All right. So let's keep going, because I want to make sure I get to the end, which I didn't get to last time. All right. So this is the statistic that changed our perspective. This is a study that was done, I think, in 2002. If you look at it, it's 2002. And this is what this study showed. It said 43% of all adults suffer stress-related adverse health effects. And it also said 75 to 90% of all visits to primary care physicians are for stress-related complaints or disorders. So let's just stop right there. And this was my mindset when I saw that. I'm like, okay, if stress is involved in 75 to 90% of the patients that walk in my door, if I become a stress expert, I will be able to help more than 3/4 of my patients just by understanding stress. What an impact I could make on my patients' lives if I could understand that the root cause, the reason why they're walking in my door, is from some type of stress-related complaint or disorder. So that's when I said I'm going to be an expert in stress and I'm going to change the world. Now, that may have been a little bit ambitious, but now it's almost possible by having these podcasts and I'm on TikTok, is that maybe I can make a difference. Okay. And they say if you can just change 1% of the population, it would have a domino effect and it would change a lot of things. So if we could just learn how to get out of that stress mode, we could cure or we could prevent a lot of it. So stress has been linked to all the leading causes of death: cardiovascular disease, cancer, lung ailments, accidents, cirrhosis, and suicide. It's all due to stress. So an estimated 1 million workers are absent each day with stress-related complaints. And this is in 2002. So this is 23 years ago is when I saw this. And stress is responsible for more than 25 billion workdays lost annually because of absenteeism. And you could probably increase all those numbers by 20, 30%. And I think I actually have some of these. But so when we encountered this research finding, it fundamentally shifted our understanding of modern healthcare. The vast majority of patients suffering had a common denominator. It was stress. And if we become experts in stress, we can help more than 75% of our patients we see. And I think it's probably 95% now. So the single insight became the catalyst, the stress connection, and everything that followed. We committed to understanding stress at the deepest level possible. And I'll tell you, hey, I went to a Joe Dispenza advanced workshop for 1 week. That's all we talked about is stress and meditation, how to disconnect from stress. And we saw people be healed. We saw people who their biology changed in a 7-day advanced workshop. Did 35 hours of meditation over the course of those 7 days. And they did before and after measurements of different health markers. And they saw amazing improvement, 20, 30% improvement in these health markers just after 1 week. And it's been shown that if you can disconnect from stress for a few minutes a day for 4 days in a row, it will begin to change your biology. So that's why stress is connected to every leading cause of death. It's cause of suicide. All of these is our inability to disconnect from this stress connection. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right. So this is kind of where most people got stuck. So let's talk about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So one is fight or flight, and the other one is rest and digest. And so being an OBGYN and anybody who's had a baby, they know that the baby is monitored through a fetal heart tracing. So this is it. And I looked at these ad nauseum for over 15 years when I was doing routine OBGYN. And these are the contractions that the baby is having. And so when the baby is under stress, and look at this acceleration, that means the heartbeat speeds up. The sympathetic nervous system is in fight or flight because it is identifying a stress. So what happens is that the heart rate increases because blood has to flow to the extremities to get ready to fight or flight. All right, fight or flight. Okay. Now you want that to only happen for a limited amount of time while the stress is there, and then you want to recover. And the recovery means that you get these irregular heartbeats, and it doesn't mean that the rhythm is irregular. What it means is that the space between the heartbeats are getting longer and shorter. And what you have to think is that when there's a long space between the heartbeats, the heartbeat, then what is happening is that your heartbeat is slowing down and the parasympathetic nervous system is coming in and helping you to recover from just this short-term stress. All right. So every second when you stand up, sit down, turn left, right, those are stressors on your body because it's having to move. But then afterwards, the parasympathetic nervous system should come in and help you to recover from that. So second by second, your heartbeats are changing: parasympathetic, sympathetic, parasympathetic, sympathetic. That is called heart rate variability. And you want your heart rate to vary based on the circumstances of your environment. So a lot of heart rate variability is good, just like here. Now, when you get not much heart rate variability, and instead of responding to the stress with acceleration, your heartbeat actually goes down when you see a stress, that is not good. That means that you're unable to recover from that stressor. And this baby needs a C-section. It needs to be removed from that environment of, of being in the womb, and it needs to come out so that it can get oxygen and all of these things. So when you get in this state, you either have to change your state or you have to remove yourself from that environment. All right. So that's what we did as an OB. Now, you can do human heart rate variabilities. There's all these, and I'll show you. There's machines that can do it now. There's wearables. I'm going to show you that. But this is how we used to do it. We'd have people come in the office. We would put a little heart monitor on their chest, and we would have them to lay down and relax. And so when you see long lines, that means there is a long space between the heartbeats. So that means there's parasympathetic activity here. So the body is reacting to all these little changes. You got to think about changes in your glucose and potassium and all of these little changes that have to take place almost millisecond to millisecond. So this is good heart rate variability. So then we ask the patient to stand up, and now the heartbeat gets closer together. This is a little different from, you saw the acceleration go up, this is down. So when you stand up, your heart rate has to increase so that you get blood flow to your brain, because now you're working against gravity. So you make that adjustment of standing up, and then afterwards you go back and you start to see more parasympathetic activity. It's a little bit less because you're standing now, but your body is still making those adjustments. Now, this is someone who has poor heart rate variability. So that means that whatever changes needs to be made, they're not going to be made. So you're going to eventually have some type of disease or some condition, because your body is unable to respond to those changes. So it begins to deteriorate. A poor heart rate variability score has been shown to increase mortality by up to 25%. So this is very important. And these are things that you can change. All right. When you disconnect, you can change things like this. So this is another way to measure stress, is to look at cortisol. And now cortisol is your stress hormone. And cortisol actually is good for you if it's produced in the right way. Because when you go through the day, you have certain stressors that you have to deal with, your family, your job, whatever. So cortisol mobilizes glucose so you have energy during the day. All right. So cortisol should be high in the morning, so you have a lot of glucose and energy to burn. And this is upper end of normal. This is the lower end of normal, and this is the normal range. So just think, you wake up, you should have energy, you should get out of bed, you should be ready to go. You go to work, take the kids to school, you get to lunch, you go to work, you get to lunchtime, you eat a little lunch. It kind of evens out a little bit. You go home, you eat dinner, and then your cortisol should go down so you can rest and you can recover the next day. Now, this is someone who's burnt out, okay, that they probably had a lot of stress in their life where their cortisol was up here for a long period of time. And you create something called adrenal fatigue, because your adrenal gland, which is right over your kidney, is what makes cortisol. And when you're under stress for too long, your body gets burned out, and this is the amount of cortisol that you're getting during the day. So instead of getting this much, you have this much. And in order to fill this gap, a lot of time you're drinking coffee, or you're drinking energy drinks, or you're in line in Starbucks trying to get some caffeine to give you some energy. And then also you reach for those simple carbohydrates like the donuts and the danishes. And so these companies know that a lot of people, they don't know they have a lot of adrenal fatigue, but they know that in the morning they need a pick-me-up. And a lot of times this is what we see in our testing, and I'm going to show you some of those examples. Now, this is the precursor to that. Now, what's supposed to happen is when you have a stressor, you get a little bit more cortisol, the stress goes away and it goes back to normal, just like in that fetal heart racing or whatever. But when people have sustained stress like this, taking care of sick parents, taking care of a sick child for weeks and months and years on end, you start out like this and eventually you burn out and you go to this point. All right. So we're going to try to avoid that. Now, I'm just going to show you how prevalent this is. I think I showed this last week. These are 9 out of the 10. I mean, these are 7 out of the 10 last cortisol tests that I've done. And this is like in a week, maybe. And remember, this is the normal range, this green area. And you see how everyone has abnormal cortisols, every last one. And this one you see especially is a little bit different because it's going up at night. And these people will tell you that they wake up every night at between 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning and can't go back to sleep because their cortisol rhythm is totally off. Now, this can be someone who works the night shift, or it can be someone who had a sick baby or whatever, and they were staying up at night. And now this pattern is kind of burnt into their system. So this is when I talk about the stress connection in 75 to 90%. Now, this is what we're talking about. I see it over and over and over again. And this is not corrected with testosterone. And I don't want to even get into that. A lot of times people are given, especially women, are given testosterone for energy, but really it's a cortisol issue. It's a cortisol issue. It's not a testosterone issue. All right. All right. The true stress connection. We understood stress as something that broke down the body, elevating cortisol, disrupting sleep, depleting energy, and accelerating disease process. Now, we recognize that stress is a messenger revealing separation from peace, purpose, and source. It's not just biological, it's existential. What we call stress was really loss of coherence and internal fragmentation that manifested as symptoms in the body and turbulence in the mind. So now we have a deeper understanding of all of this. All right. So let me see. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we're going to get to that. All right. All right. So I want to talk about, let me go back. Okay. Here we were. All right. So the Ageless Blueprint connection from stress mastery to total transformation. The entire Ageless Blueprint was born from the fundamental insight that mastering stress is the key to hormone balance, cellular longevity, and holistic transformation. What began as a stress research evolved into comprehensive framework for optimal human function. So in our Ageless Blueprint school, one of the places we have is Mindset Mastery. It's one of the courses we have. And Mindset Mastery is really stress mastery. Understanding and regulating the stress response through nervous system training and coherence practices. And I'm going to show you, I love this Muse headband because that's what taught me how to regulate my stress response. Hormone optimization, restoring natural hormone rhythms and balance as stress coherence improves. So I told you it's kind of a chicken or egg. Is it the stress that's causing the hormone problems or the hormone problems causing the stress? Now, when you do that, and I've learned this with Joe Dispenza, is that supporting the body's innate regenerative capacity through reduced oxidative stress. And really, when you can get into that parasympathetic mode, that's when your body can heal. That's why it's so important to try and stay in that state and avoid the fight or flight state as much as possible. So you want to have conscious connection, cultivating alignment with purpose, peace, and source as the foundation of lasting vitality. And that's why I call myself the spiritual MD, is that when you can connect with that higher power, whatever and however you believe, that is what helps you to disconnect. You have to get out of this bodily experience and you have to cultivate the right spirit. So that's what we're talking about with this conscious connection. All right. So I just want to get to this. All right. Modern tools for ancient balance, right? Tracking coherence and teaching self-mastery. And I'm going to show you some of my results and how I'm actively doing this while I'm teaching you, okay? So modern tools for ancient balance, the Muse headband. I keep talking about this, but it really is going to help you to rewire your brain to get into that parasympathetic mode. And it teaches you how to meditate. Most people don't meditate because they don't know if they're doing it right or not. And there really is no right or wrong. It's all about practice. You practice meditation. Just like I practice medicine, you're always learning. You're always trying new techniques. You're always trying to improve yourself. So meditation is not a goal. It's a practice. It's a journey. All right. So real-time brainwave feedback during meditation, translating neural activity into immediate guidance for deepening practice and building coherence. And I'm going to show you some of my results so you can see this. Now, also is Violite photomodulation. And what I want to get to is that we are energetic beings. And I'll have to do a whole podcast on that about quantum physics and energetic and energy and frequencies. But the best way to change energy is with energy. So that's with sound and with light. So this Violite biomodulation is a transcranial and intranasal light therapy supporting brain health, neuroplasticity, and cognitive function at the cellular level. And I'll show you my Violite. And I do this every night and every morning. So there's two different frequencies. One helps to calm the brain down. The other one helps to stimulate the brain. So I do one in the morning, one in the evening. But this is it. It's just a little, let me see if I can show it to you. It's a little thing, and you actually put this in your nose. And that may sound a little disgusting, but hey, the reason why you do that is because the thinnest part of your skull is right behind your nose. It's called the cribriform plate. So that's the easiest way for this light to transmit through your skull. So that's why you do it. And you do it for 20 minutes. You can do it while you're doing something else, while you're brushing your teeth or whatever. But that is how you change the energy of your brain, is through light and through sound. All right. So then we have the Hume Band. This is continuous health monitoring, providing insights into sleep, recovery, nervous system state throughout your daily life. And I'll show you that and show you some of my results on that. And then HRV applications. Remember I told you how important heart rate variability is to show you how balanced your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system is. And there's all kinds of tracking. It's on the Apple Watch, it's in the Hume Band. And these apps offer objective measurement of the stress resilience and autonomic nervous system balance. So we can now track coherence and teach patients to regulate their inner world with precision that is unimaginable 20 years ago. These technologies transform abstract concepts like stress reduction into measurable, trackable, achievable goals, turning stress into self-mastery. And I'm anxious to show you my results, to show you how I've done this. The ancient wisdom of meditation and breath work now has modern validation and enhancement through technology that provides immediate biofeedback, accelerating the journey to mastery. And again, meditation has been around for thousands of years. So there must be something to it if it has stood the test of time. And it has been a part of cultures all over the world. All these cultures that really had no connection to each other all developed this practice of meditation. And that is how they connected with the heavens, with God or the gods or whatever, is through meditation. All right. I think it's time for a break, and then we're going to talk about. So this is me in a meditation session with my Muse headband. So we'll talk about that, and I'll talk about what these results mean and how important it is to be able to monitor this, to be able to see where you are and how you can improve. So let's go to a break, and then I'm going to show you how I've used some of these devices. All right.
We are going to a quick break, so stay with us as we explore the Ageless Blueprint right here on W4HC Radio and Talk4 TV. An ancient secret with a modern twist for better health and vitality. Dr. Taylor will be right back. Taking care of your health shouldn't mean taking a handful of pills every day. At Taylor MD Formulations, they create doctor-developed supplements that combine the best natural ingredients so you get the results you need with fewer pills. Taylor MD Formulations is backed by science, designed for real life with real results. Less pills, better health, doctor approved. Shop now at TaylorMDFormulations.com and discover smarter supplements for smarter health. That's TaylorMDFormulations.com. We are back for more of Ageless Blueprint. Once again, let's join Dr. Taylor for more insights and research on the ancient secret to better health and a better life in modern times. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Hello, how are you? And I am back, and we're talking about the stress connection 20 years later. And this is this is part 2, and this is talking about stress disconnection. And so I want to really show this. So this is me in a meditation session. All right. I actually turned on the Muse, and I had a camera in front of me. And this is actually a video that I have, I think, in my school group, and just talks about what meditation is and what it isn't. But this is, you put the Muse headband on, and you have a app that you run. All right. Now, I want to show you this. See these little blue birds here? That means that my brainwave was in the alpha state, okay, which is this is the state where your thoughts are very organized and where you're in a meditative state where your mind is clear. And it doesn't mean erasing all your thoughts. It means acknowledging that you have the thought, and then you refocus yourself back into a meditative state. So all of these little birdies here means that I was in a meditative state. Now you see the little star here, that means that I got distracted. But whenever you determine that, hey, I'm distracted, and that's a part of meditation, is to know, oh, okay, I'm not focusing on my breath anymore. And how quickly can you recover? So I had 10 recoveries here, and most of the time it's going to happen at the end. But you see here, I was quickly able to identify that I got distracted, and I was able to go back into a meditative state. So it's not about erasing thoughts. It's about not going down the thought rabbit hole. It's about not having a thought and then start to imagine the worst outcome, because that's what the brain automatically does. It has a thought, and then it starts thinking what could possibly go wrong. And so you have to let that thought just pass by, and then you have to refocus. Now, I also want to show you, if you can make it where it's all the slats, so I can point this out, Rebel, is that this is looking at cognitive performance. And so this is telling you how well is your brain working, how well is your cognition working. And see, I had gone through a dip here. So again, not every session is going to be great. All right. But I had a problem here. I don't know. I may have, sometimes if I meditate too late in the day, I've already kind of cluttered my mind with too much stuff. And so I don't have a good meditation. And I shouldn't say bad or good. It just was not my optimal meditation. But you see, I made some changes. And now this day, I had optimal cognitive performance. And everybody is worried about their cognition. I am. I'm 65. I don't want to have a cognitive decline. This is how you do it, through meditation. You let your brain heal. You let it rest. You let it recover. So that's how important it is. And that's the value of this feedback. All right. So I'm not trying to push you on this Muse headband. I'm just telling you it's very valuable information, and it will help you learn how to meditate. All right. And so if you want that, you can go to Choose Muse, and it should be in my links. Choose Muse, MUSE.com/ageless. And if you don't invest in anything else, if you could just invest in this and give your body 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day to totally be in that parasympathetic state, it would change your biology. It will change how you think. It'll change how you feel. And I am so devoted to meditation, I will not go a day without it. If I don't have time in the morning, I will do it before I go to sleep, because you have to let that mind rest, and that lets your nervous system rest, and that lets your body rest. All right. So I don't think I can say that too convincingly. All right. So I want to show you this other thing. This is called a Hume body pod. And can you show that so that you can see the whole thing, Rebel? And I'll point it out. Oh, the Ageless Blueprint, I still can't see it. All right. So it is a state-of-the-art wellness chamber providing immersive sensory experience with deep relaxation. So what it is, and we used to do this in the office, it's a body composition scale. And we used to have to put 2 electrodes on your feet and 2 electrodes on your arm. And then it sends a current of electricity through your body right here. All right. And what that is saying is that how fast or how slowly does that electrical current pass through your body and back? And based on how fast or how slowly the current goes through, it can tell you how much fat, how much fluid, how much bone, how much muscle. It can tell you if it's subcutaneous fat, is it visceral fat. So it's very good information that used to have to come to the office in order to get this information. But now you can actually do it at home. And this is something called a Hume wristband, which looks at, it can actually tell you your biological age. And I'm going to show you all of that because I'm very proud of it. All right. And so this is something you can do at home. And then there's something called Hume Connect, where I can actually help monitor you at home, that I can see your results. And it also has an AI component to it where it will evaluate your data and it will give you different suggestions on how to improve these different markers. So I'm really excited about this. This is something that I've just become a part of. And that is also in the links. And I can show you how to order that. And it can be much less expensive than what you can see on the website. So if you're interested in that, just leave a comment and I'll give you information on how you can purchase both of those. But let me show you my results. All right. So this is my weight. I'm 180 pounds. Actually, I'm a little bit less. This is like 2 days ago, I think. All right. So this is my body fat percentage. It's gone down. And actually, I was at I had been going to the gym and I was seeing my fat mass was going up a little bit and my skeletal mass was going down. And that's the thing that you want to avoid. You don't want to lose muscle mass. And sometimes if you're stressed or you stress your body out too much, you'll begin to lose muscle and not fat. And that's also with GLP-1s. I think anybody who's on a GLP-1, somehow they need to have a body composition analysis to make sure they're not losing muscle. And that's why people would come to the office to make sure that they were losing fat and not muscle. And now you can actually do this at home and you can make changes on a day-to-day basis. So, and that's what I did. So anyway, my body fat percentage was going down. My lean mass, muscle mass was going up. Subcutaneous fat went down. See, it was going up and I had to make some changes. And I know when I eat simple carbs, I think I had gone out to brunch and I had some Danishes. That's my kryptonite. I'm going to gain visceral fat. And you see here, I gained the visceral fat, gained some subcutaneous fat, but hey, I made changes immediately and it went back down. See, my skeletal muscle went up. I actually started drinking our amino restore shake that you can find in Taylor MD formulations. I started drinking the shake twice a day instead of once a day. And my skeletal muscle mass went up because I was working out harder at the gym. He was pushing me harder. And so I had to increase my protein. And since I'm mostly vegetarian, I had to increase it through a pea protein shake. All right. Now, this is basal metabolic rate. That means how many calories do I burn at rest? And as you get more muscle mass, your basal metabolic rate will go up. Now, this is from the Hume band and the body pod. So when they put the body composition together and then the Hume band, which is looking at my heart rate and heart rate variability and my stress level, my metabolic age at 65 is actually 56. All right. So my biological age is is 9 years younger than my chronological age. And I want to keep that going. All right. So this is giving you a day by day way to change the course of your longevity. All right. So Rebel, is that cool or not?
Yes, I believe it is. That's why I put your picture back up so they can see you and see the results.
Yeah, I'm 65 and I feel 56. I feel, even younger than that. So, and let me tell you, I didn't just, I just started, having access to these tools now. Now, I really started this whole journey of trying to be healthier, 30, well, no, I won't say, I'll say 10 or 15 years ago that I really tried to pay attention to my health. Now, I will tell you, when COVID came, I gained almost 40 pounds. Instead of being 180, I was at 219. Now, what I did was I was able to lose 20 pounds by, just realizing that I was gaining weight like crazy. And, everybody was stressed during that time. But then I will be honest with you, I actually took a GLP-1 to lose the other 20 pounds. And now I did that about a year and a half ago. And since then, I haven't been taking any shots for a year and a half, and I've maintained my weight at 180. All right. So it's possible to do that. And I use GLP-1s as kind of a kickstart. And then hopefully that's going to change your habits. It made me become more plant-based. I started not drinking wine at night. I hardly ever drink any wine at all now, or alcohol. And really the GLP-1s help to take a lot of those cravings and tastes away. So this is a thing that you do consistently. You're not going to change overnight, but if you can make these small little changes over the course of days and weeks and months, then you'll see that there is a true result. And again, you can see that things you do from day to day can change the course of your body composition, of your longevity. So every day counts. You want to start the day off. You want to have a ritual that includes movement, that includes meditation, that includes taking care of yourself, loving yourself. All right. You can't love others if you don't love yourself. So you have to take care of yourself. I have a morning routine. Okay. So, and you stay with those routines, and that's how you get long lasting results. All right. So let's wind down here. So inner balance, mastering the internal landscape through coherence and harmony. And that's what meditation does. It can get that heart brain coherence. And we'll have to do a podcast on that. But in my school group, we talk about coherence. Outer harmony, physical health and vitality, expressing inner balance. So when you're balanced inside, you look balanced outside. All right. I had to work on myself inwardly, and I think it shows outwardly. So continuous evolution, ever deepening understanding and practice of optimal living. So you always want to learn. I was just looking at a video today, and they said you need to ask a question. Is there any evidence that would change your mind or change any of your beliefs? And when someone says that there's nothing that can change my mind, you know that they have stopped thinking and they've stopped growing. Because you always want to be open to new ideas and new ways of doing things. And so, all of these gadgets are new ways of doing things that I was doing 20 years ago. And I want to embrace that. And now what I used to have to do in the office, you can do at home. And to me, that's great. All right. So this is Ageless. This is the blueprint. Okay. I would love for you to connect with me in other places. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right. It helps me and it helps other people, because the more people who subscribe to it, it gets pushed out to more people. I am actually doing a TikTok live at 11 o'clock. I do it every Wednesday. And sometimes I have more than 6,000 or 7,000 people on there trying to learn about hormones and longevity. So I would love for you to follow me on TikTok. I have a school group, SKOOL. It's called Ageless Blueprint. And in there, I have courses. I have courses on hormone clarity. I have a course on mindset mastery. I have a course on 5 pillars of ageless living. We have another course on introduction to peptides, and GLP-1s are peptides. And these peptides are these small little chains of amino acids that helps to stimulate organ systems to repair themselves and to start functioning normally. All right, so there's all different types of peptides that are available, and there's an introduction there. We have a course on the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is a little gland in your brain, and that gland can get calcified by different things in the environment. But that pineal gland is actually your GPS system. You have a GPS system for life, just like the birds have a GPS system to know to fly south in the winter and they can go to the exact same place every winter and every summer. They go to the exact same place. How do they navigate that without Waze? Okay, you have a Waze in your brain called the pineal gland, and I have a video there, and I'm going to put it on YouTube. Is about how you can understand your pineal gland and how you can reactivate your pineal gland, and that is actually your gateway to higher consciousness. All right. So I don't want to get too far left for you guys, but that's a part of me developing my spiritual MD persona. How can I connect science with spirit? And the pineal gland is the connection between body, mind, and spirit. And nobody talks about the pineal gland, but every animal has a pineal gland. All right. So every animal has this connection with the electromagnetic field or the quantum field. And in that area, all things are possible. Okay. It's about what do you believe? There's a song that they sing in church. All things are possible. You only have to believe. All right. And it's about thoughts. Thoughts create reality. So anyway, I'm getting a little bit too far off, but that's the direction we're going to is because a part of relieving stress is to reconnect with that GPS system so that you're not stressed, so that your own intuition can help guide you and help you to make decisions. And so you're not stressed about it, is that you're confident because you feel like your intuition is guiding you, that gut feeling you need to pay attention to. All right. So anyway, are there any questions? You got any questions, Rebel? We got 2 or 3 minutes, but
there's a few questions on the
okay,
music
great.
end.
Okay, great.
Can you tell people a little bit more about that?
Okay.
And how it's beneficial?
And how is what? How it's beneficial? Because
Yes.
of, this is what I'll tell you. Let's go back to this. All right. So I'll be honest with you. When I first started this, I could not, I had no idea what to do. I actually took a course that you can download. It's called Declutter the Mind. And it was a 30-day mindfulness meditation. People have heard of mindful meditation. And it coaches you, hey, can you go 1 minute without being distracted? And then you go to 5 minutes, then you go whatever. And then a lot of times it would take me 2 or 3 minutes to get into this state. So what the Muse headband, what it does is you put that on and you put your earplugs in and you will start to hear birds when your brain has become quiet. And you have to try different breathing techniques, and there's guided meditation in there. You try different breathing techniques. You can try different ways of sitting. Is it better when you lie down? But how do I get my brain to quiet down? So this is giving you, immediate biofeedback is what are your brain waves doing? And with anything, once you become aware of something, then you can begin to change it. So I became aware of, hey, this is how I have to breathe. This is how I have to calm my brain down to get into this state. And you see, I can do it almost instantaneously now. And you couldn't do that before. I couldn't do that before. So that's the value of it. It gives you this feedback and it teaches you how to get into this state. Now, it probably took me, I did that 30-day course and I was diligent. I did it every day. And so this is the results of 2 or 3 months of practice. All right. But I wouldn't have been able to do this without getting that feedback to know how to do it. So that's the value of it. All right.
There's a
Do we have
question
another
on
question? Mhm.
what does it read and how often do you do this?
Now I do it every morning. It's reading. See, your brain and your heart, they send out an electromagnetic signal. Okay. So it's reading the signal, just like you get an ECG or you've seen these people have these brainwave studies. Well, this is doing it with just this band. And so it is looking at brain waves. You have these 5 different brain waves. You have gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. And alpha and theta are the 2 meditation frequencies. So it's measuring, are you in those two frequencies? And when you're in those frequencies, that's when your body can heal. That's when you're in that parasympathetic state, when your body is looking at trying to heal itself and to try and regenerate itself. So that's why I do it every day, so that my body has at least 10 to 15 minutes of being able to heal. And whenever you can do it and you can calm your breath down and you can calm your thoughts down, your body is going into that healing parasympathetic mode. So I know we're out of time. If you have any other questions, please comment. Okay, go ahead.
Two more questions real quick.
Okay.
They're questioning, does it require a subscription, and who all sees these results?
Oh, it's just you. Oh, no, it's just you. I'm showing this to you. And
No, I think they're asking, does anybody, is anybody looking, at your results? Can anybody read these results other than you?
No, I mean, it's not being kept anywhere, unless somebody steals your phones and looks at it and can get in there. But no, this is an app on your phone, and it's your app. So, so nobody else is going to see this. And I don't think I'm paying a subscription. I think I just had to buy the band. I don't think this is a subscription-based app. I made it so long, and I don't know. And if it is, I probably paid for a year's subscription. But believe me, I think it's worth it. Okay, this is worth it. It's been worth it for me for sure. All right. So I think we got to go. I'm a little bit over time, but I'll see you next Wednesday. And until then, just keeping on. All right. All right. I'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining Dr. Taylor today. If you missed any part of this show, just check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Ageless Blueprint is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. Together, we discovered ancient secrets to better health through science and spirituality made for modern times. Until then, feel free to check out agelessblueprintpodcast.com and TaylorMDFormulations.com for more information.